This is what happens when politicians engineer your car. There are multiple, redundant, overthought systems that lead to inefficient efficiency, dreamed up by someone that can't even hold a wrench, let alone turn it. But here we are in a $200,000 Bentley SUV that's currently overheating. The Bentayga is a newish model to the brand, so why is it already experiencing old car problems? If the answer was something simple, like it had a failed thermostat, I wouldn't be ranting, but the problem in this case is so much more complicated, it's ridiculous. And what's even more ridiculous is that in order to do any ordinary job on this car, the entire front end has to be removed, a job which the Bentley dealer books 8 labor hours to complete, and that's not including the time to sort what's actually broken. Now, to be fair, we did buy this truck from auction with a damaged air suspension and got a steep 5-figure discount at the time. And while we were able to fix this air suspension for next to nothing with just a few pieces of hardware, we did figure we'd have to budget a bit more to make it 100%. But the only other major thing we found wrong with it was that the air conditioning had gone warm. It had all the symptoms of a failed AC compressor, which again, according to the local Bentley workshop, would take a whole front end removal and replacement of the compressor to the tune of over $5,000. But we ended up getting super lucky again and found a failed refrigerant control valve, a replacement piece not offered by the dealer parts counter. So we ordered one online, and working in tight quarters, we were able to sort our hot truck for a cool $50 in just a few hours' time. But it seems our luck might have finally come to an end. We've now got a more serious problem to deal with. And it's not just us. Bentley, Audi, Lamborghini, and Porsche have already issued a technical service bulletin on this same exact issue for every car with this same exact drivetrain. And since all the major cooling system components on this engine are right in the front middle section of the engine, there's little hope in fixing it without opening our wallet, putting on some gloves, and hope this job doesn't turn our deal upside down, which is basically the same story of all of my cars in the field of broken dreams here. They were all exciting at first, now they all seem broken indefinitely, and they've left me with nothing more than a lot of trouble and a major hole in my wallet. If you add up the cost of everything you see here, well, it ends up being a small fortune, which has turned into a big problem. But where there's a problem, there's always a solution, and that's where PDS Debt can really help out. No matter if it's credit cards, personal loans, medical bills, or collections, PDS Debt has customized solutions to help save thousands in interest and fees and pay off your debt in a fraction of the time. And your credit score doesn't matter. Anyone with $10,000 or more in debt qualifies, and it only takes 30 seconds to get a free debt analysis when you visit pdsdebt.com/samcrack.
Getting out of debt can seem more difficult than keeping all these cars running, but PDS Debt is like your debt master mechanic. They're top rated on Google and have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. All you have to do is visit pdsdebt.com/samcrack to get your free debt analysis. PDS Debt can provide you options that consolidate your debt into one low monthly payment. Just hit the link in the description or visit pdsdebt.com/samcrack.
Now, this Bentley service bulletin describes the exact overheating issue we're currently experiencing, and it says the main problem lies within the switch valve for the mechanical coolant pump. The mechanical coolant pump is simply our belt-driven water pump, but I honestly don't understand what the switch valve is. It's not the thermostat, as the bulletin refers to it as the coolant regulator. Now, I read this bulletin a few times over and still had a hard time understanding how this cooling system works and why it even exists, so I called up a humble friend of mine for a better explanation.
Hey everybody, it's Charles. Sam and I had a really great conversation about the Volkswagen Audi Group's dynamic flow water pump system, how it works, and why they have it in the first place. The pump you're looking at now is out of a B8 Audi S4 3-liter supercharged, but it's really similar to the setup that Sam has on his Bentley. Whenever we see something that looks overly complicated like this, our first question is why? And that's actually a really simple answer. It's all about heating up the engine faster to reduce emissions. The two reasons car manufacturers do anything: save money and reduce emissions. The way it works is there's a sleeve that can go up around the impeller of the water pump. In its static state, that sleeve is retracted. When vacuum is applied, the sleeve extends out, reducing water pump flow, and that's what heats up the engine faster. That vacuum is controlled by a solenoid. On this S4 here, it lives at the back of the supercharger, and depending on the car, it's going to be in a different location. There's a number of ways that it can fail, from that sleeve getting stuck in the extended position, causing your car to overheat, broken vacuum lines, a failed solenoid, and probably the worst would be the failing diaphragm inside the pump itself, which then means you could be sucking coolant into the solenoid and maybe even into the engine.
So if I'm understanding understanding the system correctly. It kind of sounds like the thermostat acts like your wife, but by adding this coolant control valve, well, it's like deciding to get a girlfriend. It's a great idea at first, and she might even heat you up a little bit quicker, but over time, you'll notice a few little complications, and when she decides to go completely haywire, well, she'll bring the entire system down with her, potentially causing damage to very expensive components that'll end up costing you a lot of money. So why not just disable this coolant control valve from even operating? It's vacuum powered, so if we pull its vacuum source and plug it, we won't have any vacuum leaks, and our water pump sleeve will remain permanently retracted, just allowing the thermostat to regulate our temperatures. Now, this service bulletin says that not only do you need to replace this coolant control valve, at the same time you should replace your water pump and thermostat. They have the labor hours for this entire job somewhere around 10 hours, and the parts cost themselves are somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,000. So by just bypassing this system, not only will we save $4,000 to $5,000 worth of work on our Bentley, we're also making the car a bit more reliable, and the best part is I don't think we've got to take apart the front end.
So with the sunlight out, you can actually see where the solenoid lives. It's pretty high up on the engine, which is actually great for us. It's still going to be a bit tight, but I think we can get it done. What we can't see very well here are the vacuum lines that run to it. So I'm going to be heavily relying on my scope camera here. This one's got the triple lenses. It's really slick, so finding it and getting a good view won't be a problem. So here's the solenoid. It looks just like the diagram in the service bulletin. It has the vent on the rear and the two vacuum lines coming off the front here. What we're going to want to do is pull this one, the one that goes straight out, and that's the source of vacuum from our engine. You could really pull either one, but I think it'll be easier to pull the vacuum source since we could just plug the hose. If we pulled the one that runs to the water pump, then we'd have to plug the solenoid, but with the tight space here, plugging the hose should be easier. All right, my hand is on the vacuum hose that we need to disconnect here. I've got the other hand on the scope end, and I'm telling you what, like, there's just no movement to my wrist here to be able to pull this off. You know how hoses get on cars, and this is one of the easier ones to do. It's small, doesn't have any sort of clamp on it, but I just can't get enough wrist action in here to yank it off. You know what I'm saying? All right, start placing your bets down in the comments. Am I going to end up spending more time doing this than if I were just to rip the entire front end of this Bentley off? I'm putting a lot of faith in the scope camera method here, but this thing has gotten me out of a pickle many times before. And if you guys don't have a scope camera, these used to be like specialty tools you would buy on the tool truck. This one with the triple lenses is right around $50. And every time I show it, everyone asks where to get it. So I went ahead and dropped a link down in the description. This one's got these cool attachments that thread on to the end of the probe. There's a little hook and a magnet, so say you drop something in your engine bay, well, you could look for it and retrieve it at the same time. It's just one of those tools that when you get it, you wonder how you live without it. And I think at this point, I'm done wrecking my hand on this vacuum line here. But what I'm noticing is that I've got one hand here. I'm constantly shifting left to right because I'm also trying to keep the scope camera steady. If we get two people involved, it will probably make this job a little bit easier and more efficient. So I'm not giving up on this method yet. We got to call a person with a very special attribute, and I know just the right guy. Zach, it is great to see ya. Zach's claim to fame is not only is he a Volkswagen Audi enthusiast, so that's very fitting for Bentley, but he has self-proclaimed small hands.
Gonna need a lot more than small hands for this job.
All right, we're going in with a pick here and seeing if we can't pry the line off first. You know, sometimes, the vacuum lines, they get stuck to the barbs and it just makes it that much more difficult to remove.
And we tried a handful of different tools to try and prod at this vacuum line, but the best one was this angled pick here. It just nudged it a smidge and you can actually see it move. With it loose, we changed to this panel clip tool, which was the perfect shape to just push it right off.
So far, we're what? About 8-9 minutes?
Yeah.
All right, I told you it's only gonna take 10. I'm hoping the second part here is easier.
Now, plugging this line proved to be way trickier than we thought. Zach used a grabbing tool just to hold the line in place, but it was still impossible to navigate his hands around this tight space.
I bestow to you the Bentley Fixer 5000.
Perfect.
Look at that screw. That's a nice screw, yeah?
That's a nice screw.
And I've got, if you look at how I did the tape,
Yeah.
so once it's in, you're just gonna have to just wiggle it. Yeah, but it's like perfect to where it shouldn't fall. Now this, it worked quick and darn near perfect. Once the screw is twisted all the way in, just a little tug at the tape and it's done. I think Zach and I need to rewrite the service bulletin for Bentley, showing them the most cost-effective way to solve this common problem. With the fix in place, I'm pretty confident that this Bentley is good to go, as long as it starts up and doesn't throw any trouble codes. And with the system disabled, the car shouldn't overheat, not at least until something else breaks. Now everything seems great. The car gets right up to operating temperatures, and I don't think it even takes much longer than before, but this might change in the winter months. I've driven it now about 50 miles since this hack, and it hasn't thrown any engine lights. It all just seems to work. I've been daily driving this Bentley for the last few weeks, and it goes without saying, it's extremely nice and a terrific car, but there's one glaring issue with it, and that's back here. This is a Volkswagen Atlas. No, it's not the same car as the Bentley. It's not even on the same platform as the Bentley. But this car that costs a fraction of what the Bentley does has a few features that the Bentley doesn't. Features which become apparent once we step in the Volkswagen. Things like this digital display right here. Now this isn't a new part. Audi's been using something called the virtual cockpit in a lot of their cars since 2014. This is a version of that, and it's finding its way into more and more Volkswagens. But Bentley didn't start offering their version of the digital display until 2021. Now, not having this digital dash in the Bentley is not a deal breaker. It's not what bugs me the most. What does is this button right here. This activates what's called Travel Assist, which is Volkswagen's version of semi-autonomous driving. And I think it works amazing. Like right here, I'm in bumper-to-bumper traffic in the Atlas. It moves all on its own. And while it does want me to nudge the steering wheel from time to time, it keeps the lane pretty much perfectly, and it does so without any other inputs from me. Now, I did look it up, and you can get a similar feature on the Bentley, but it had to be optioned for an additional $10,000. $10,000 added to the base Atlas gets you almost the fully loaded Atlas. But we have to be fair here, and this Bentley did come with a feature that our Volkswagen didn't, and that's the Centennial option, which gets you these gold outlined emblems for an extra $1,850. I don't even think this Bentley has laser cruise. Look, I'm gonna increase my speed here, and we're approaching this car in front of us very fast. I am putting my own foot on the brake because it doesn't stop itself. We just bought a $4,000 BMW from the auction that's from 2014 that has laser cruise on it. It's amazing that it lacks common features that have been around for over a decade now. Now, I doubt many Bentley buyers are shopping Volkswagens, and probably not that many Volkswagen buyers are shopping Bentley, so our last comparison doesn't really matter. But there is one other major issue with the Bentayga, at least in my opinion, that, well, makes it an unusable car. And I'm gonna show you what that problem is right now. Here we have Rich.
What's up, Sam?
In this junky old electric car. Rich, do people even follow these things anymore?
Not anymore. They stopped making them 2 years ago.
And with that, we're trying to breathe new life into it by making a few modifications. In order to do those modifications, we got to run out to the hardware store.
Right.
Okay, so out of all the cars you see here, what's the most perfect car to take to the hardware store?
The Bentayga.
It's a utility car,
It's
right?
nice, it's comfortable,
Yeah.
it's spacious,
But
the interior is well appointed.
here's the issue.
What?
The hardware store is in kind of a tough area.
What do you mean tough?
Like just sort of area you probably wouldn't want to bring a Bentley. Rich.
Come on, Sam.
Rich, no.
It's nice in here, Sam. Come
Rich,
on.
let's go. This is not the car we're taking.
How bad is this area?
Well, it's just like I said, the area you wouldn't want to take a Bentley. I mean, I go to it every once in a while. I don't do it in Bentleys. Come on. I got the perfect car.
Nice tires on this thing?
Rich, we're not taking the Range Rover either, although that's a great car. Rich, come on. Let's go. We're taking the Explorer.
A cop car?
Rich, it's not a cop car. It's an Explorer.
This is a it's just not a cop car. Look at this.
This is a decommissioned cop car. Well, it's decommissioned. I mean, look, they took the stickers off the side and stuff. It's just an Explorer now. I mean, there's nothing very cop car. There's nothing about
That's
this.
1/8 inch thick steel. Look at this.
It's got great storage in the rear.
Jeez.
A great utility vehicle. So this thing is basically like the same size as the Bentley.
Yeah.
It's got a little bit smaller displacement, but it's still powerful enough with all-wheel drive like the Bentley.
Check this out. What happened here? What happened? Is it a burn?
Like you said, the Bentley's nicer pointed, but it works, okay? Well, Rich, we're here at the hardware store.
You know, Sam, I'm starting to understand why you use the word rough for this area.
They've got some nice places, and I mean, it looks closed, but...
A lot of boarding up windows and closed businesses and stuff.
No, this is the thing. It looks closed. It's just, look, they're renovating. It's tough right now.
So it's just optics. It just looks bad, but it's not.
It's... Well, I don't know. So let me show you one benefit of this car. Look, we're in an Explorer. There's two people. We were not first in line.
No, we weren't.
But they both were like, we're going to let those people go first because they drive a nice, respectable family SUV.
That's right.
In a Bentley, they would have both went in front of you. Is that true? What's the special today, Rich?
Sam, we're going to get the...
6-piece
Are we
wing.
getting the sweet and spicy?
Well, we'll have one of those 12-piece combos.
12-piece?
Yep. I'll have... This is another reason why you wouldn't want to take the Bentayga, right?
Why?
Well, you know, just because, I mean, you know how, like, certain people don't like you eating in their cars?
What do you mean?
Like, there's just a lot of other things that American car designers think of that European ones don't, like the sauce holder on the side here, drink cup down on the door card. Makes for a very practical, usable car, especially like, you know, when you travel to certain places. So, Rich, I think we've had a really successful outing in the...
I would agree, Sam. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to interrupt you. I changed my mind about the police interceptor.
It's the Ford, we'll just call it what it is, a Ford Explorer.
The police interceptor, I'm glad we took this because if we took the Bentayga, we wouldn't have this right now.
Do you see this? We just went into a donut shop, which we will leave unnamed.
We'll leave the name out.
Yeah. And the lady saw us, nicest lady in the world.
Super nice.
And she saw what we drove up in, and she gave us the donuts.
Immediately felt bad.
She
Well,
goes,
fair, you did play it up a little bit.
She goes, two nice men in a Ford Explorer, must have a family.
Yep.
I think that's what she thought.
Yep. Two family men.
And she gave us the donuts for
Well,
free.
you kind of hinted. You're like, are you going to throw these away? It's almost the end of the day. You did say that.
I might have.
You did say that. And she goes, well, you know, you guys are two nice young men. So Sam picked out probably the worst, a French cruller.
I didn't pick that out. I didn't pick that out.
The
No.
worst donut I ever seen.
Listen,
Look at that. It's
I didn't
even
think
flat. It doesn't even look good. A French, where is it?
Rich.
French cruller. The
Rich,
worst.
you're getting into too much detail here.
It doesn't
You're
matter.
getting into too much detail here.
If
lady saw the car.
If we were in the Bentayga, this would not have happened.
It would actually cost us twice as much.
We're not going to say what company it was from, but thank you very much. This was great.
To the nice young lady,
We should take this more often, Sam. I could get down with this.
Yeah.
This is fine.
As critical as I might be, the Bentayga is a terrific car to drive, and I think Audi's twin-turbo V8 suits it the best out of any other car I've driven with that same exact engine. It's just so smooth and powerful. It feels like it's made for the Bentley, and it doesn't have that heft that you get with the 12-cylinder. And as much as I complained about all the maintenance headaches that come along with it, I tend to believe it will be much more reliable and cost-effective to maintain versus their 12-cylinder, which I think they're phasing out or have phased out at this point. Obviously, I'm most critical about this car's price. New was eclipsing $200,000. They could go well past that. But if you can live without the flash, I would personally save the cash. I'm not saying that the Atlas is the solution, but the perfect middle ground is the Audi SQ8. It costs about half that of the Bentayga, whether you're shopping new or used. And personally, I just think it's a better all-around car. It has the same exact drivetrain as well. If you're looking for that huge road presence, something that gets attention everywhere you go, just pick up one of these special edition Ford Explorers. I'm telling you, the looks we got while we were driving it were insane, and it costs way cheaper than any of the other European cars we just mentioned. Now, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit that button below so you're the first to find out when I drop the video on this old cop car. It's got a little something under the hood that makes it a little bit more unique than your typical Interceptor. Also, if you're not already following me on Instagram, you can find me right here. Just hit that link down in the description where I post behind the scenes video and content of all the project cars there before anything goes live here. I can't thank each and every one of you enough for watching today, and I'll catch you very soon.